how do we check talent?
To know your talent, Betty, you have to think like a sick person going to a hospital. I will analogize for you so that you understand it simply.
Mm-hmm.
When you're sick and you go to hospital and you arrive in there, they will open your file and get your biodata. You'll meet a nurse who will do some triage.
Yes.
What we call medical previews or
Mm-hmm.
prior diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
They'll ask you brief questions. Why do you think they do this? They want to have a background of what you could be suffering from. They cannot miraculously know your sickness. Nobody can. Next, after some time, they take the file to the doctor. The doctor won't call you in immediately because he needs to preview for 5 minutes and form an opinion about what you could be suffering from. When you arrive at the doctor, he will ask additional questions.
Mm-hmm.
And a good doctor will not just take a syringe and give you an injection.
The whole of last month, I was interviewing entertainers, performers, and people who do this in our country. And one of the things that stood out is they run to music, they run to acting, and they do performances. And this is what Kenyans basically call talent. And one of the major things that I also found out is that when you have failed in education, then you find yourself by default in this industry. And that makes me wonder, is entertainment and talent for the failures in school? And the other thing, there are also people who dropped out of school, maybe for many reasons, but also for lack of finance. Their parents were unable to take them to school to continue to further their education. And so they find themselves out of school and quickly they check on the side, what else can I do? I think I can sing, I can act. And so this is what people now tell them, follow this passion, pursue this interest, and you will make a living out of it.
Betty, you can't have been spot on, more than spot on than I've been interviewed before. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this confusion is going to land this country, this continent, into a very serious problem with the youth already building up.
Yes.
There is, even in Kenya, a bad belief that if you didn't get marks good enough to take you to a university, then you go to a polytechnic. What does a point have to do with a polytechnic? You just think about it. This is how we think as a country. Finish off what I was telling you, and I will, because I deal with this many artists, many come to me. Many of them went to do things not because they are having any talent in it, but because somebody said there's money in there. Anywhere where there's money, people will run today. But let me finish off and get you what will get us back to what we should be doing. To know your talent, it means you have to know your God-given human metrics, which are called genus. This is what we measure. And to do that, we have 3 steps. Step 1, oral screening. Oral screening is the same as walking to that hospital, opening the file, and with the nurse asking questions. Now, pay attention to this. The questions are related to what happened during pregnancy, what happened during labor, what happened during birth, and what happened during the first 4 years. After 4 years, there's nothing new, Betty, in human. All about a human is between pregnancy and 4 years. After 4 years, just growing big. You're just enhancing communication parts, nothing else. Now listen, now pay more attention to this one. During pregnancy, there's rapid growth. And what is growth? It is only the establishment of communication parts between the body and the front lobe of the brain here, the thinking. This front part here, Betty, of your brain is divided left and right, and a semi-membrane, upper and lower. All things you call interpretation of signals happen there. And all careers are in those 4 areas. The rest are called specializations. For example, interpretation by the left upper of the brain is science. Lower decision making, right side, the upper side, the volcanic brain, the brain of the artist, the musician, the non-conformed. The lower part is the manio-dexterity, the brain of the physical strength. So all I need to know about you as a human, when signals happen in your body, because we react to situations, which section of your brain do signals go fastest? Should they be going to the left upper, then I know you're more likely to be a scientist. Then I can now do a further analysis to find the specialization. Now, how then do I know those signals? After that oral screening, we have another stage known as psycho-screening, where now an expert...
How do you do that diagnosis? How do you do the oral screening? Just talking, and what is that next stage? Because if that is the way that you have described the division of the brain, talking about the upper and the lower membrane and the left and the right, and you need to know which one is active, you're able to tell whether this child is going to be a scientist or a musician, or, you know, if you're able to tell all that, first of all, I'm surprised why those things are not happening in our country. And if they're happening, I wonder where. And secondly, I wonder why so many people are in their wrong careers. And I'm also concerned about these people who run into talent, into these things we call talent that you have said are not. We run into them correctly, as you put it, that there is money in there. But when as soon as we get there, we are failing, and we are getting ourselves into more problems. We get depressed when things don't work. When we are not doing well, then we are out of place again. I mean, how come this diagnosis is not done?
Let me thank you, first of all, for making things sink for the viewers. You know, there's a problem with the professor. They sometimes get carried away into the technicality. So keep bringing me down there to make sure it makes sense for the viewers. I'll try as much as possible to do so. But I want the viewers and yourself, when I finish with a little bit of the technicality, I'll be very, very down. I just wanted them to appreciate there's a science behind it. Okay?
To appreciate there's a professor in the house.
Just appreciate. Now, you asked, what are these questions? And I didn't want to dwell in them. These are questions which have been researched and redone by talent experts who are mainly psychologists. And we put them into a computer software, okay? Many of them today are even available online, okay? We can be able to do that. But don't you be tempted to think they are psychometric tests. Psychometric tests only deal with the IQ, and we have long pushed them away because they don't produce the real human. A human is complete, okay? So those questions, just to sample for you and for the benefit of the viewers. During pregnancy, if you have food cravings as a pregnant mother, it has an impact of changing the signal path of the infant. That research was done in South America. There was a person who joined them from Nigeria. It's known as paika, the non-formal eating of pregnant mothers and their impact. Some even take rocks, some nyama ya mafuta mingi. It has an impact. If that occurs, I know what I'm dealing with. Prolonged labor produces what they call signal shafts. Postpartum, preterm birth produces signal shifts. I don't want to explain what those are. Those are my sciences. You can check on my website and the details. But I will bring them all. I just wanted you to appreciate that there is a lot of research, there's a lot of work going on. So when we ask those questions, we build up a momentum to understand the human we are dealing with. We have not gotten the signals yet. At the end of it all, there is a machine. The machine is a cubicle, like a photomy booth. You remember the one who do photos before? This machine is known as anthropobiometric machine, from the word anthropology. Anthropology, isn't it? Anthropo means human, biometrics. So human measurement machine. Let me tell you what it does. When you go in less than a minute, it produces Betty minus flesh and bones. Those signals, where signals move very quickly, it paints green. Where is ish, it paints yellow. And where there are energy blockages, it paints red. So that when I have it in front of me here, I can tell, oh, for Betty, signals are more efficient on the right side of the domain and they terminate on the right upper side. With the prior diagnosis in the oral screening, those questions, and with this image, can you see how easy it is for me? Because the front brain is developed at 4 years. That's why I said 4 years.
Yes.
So a 4 or 5-year-old kid, Betty, when you give me, you can see why I'm able to predict the career 30 years in advance.